Good morning everyone, my name is Liam and let's go into another video here. I'm mid-morning coffee so I'm a little bit grouchy, but I thought we'd just get into one of these and see where it takes us. Now, we'll start this off and we'll go at a reasonable pace. Disclaimer, this game is quite long. I'm also not in it, so the standard of play may be a little bit down there, but we'll see what the guys that are still playing on Voobly.com usually, but you can play on Game Ranger as well. I'll put links to those in the description. See what kind of quality of play they bring us today. Now what is this map? This is not a map I recognise. Hanoon. You can't just play Hanoon. What is this? Look at the terrible spawning. Pretty sure this is ice. RVA's base is enveloped by ice. He can't build on this. This is just a dead area of the map. Is it at least like separating him from a wing? Yeah, it is. Oh, that's awful. What an awful map. I like the food stockpiles though, and the carbon rocks. They're cool. It's a bit like Space Mass with more things on it and flatter terrain. So there's a bunch of nerfs kicking about. Let's see, we've got 8 nerfs, 10, this is like a 12 nerf map or something like that, 10, 8. I don't think there's people rocking the old 16s, no. So you got nerfs and you got a food processor, so get your nerfs in. You should probably eat one to be honest to avoid an idle command center, because it's not really going to be enough to keep worker production going. And then get on your food stockpile, once you've got the carbon for a second building. People do get an air transport as well, so it is really like Space Mass. It's Space Mass 2.0, but with added ice around RVA's base. I like it. I could get behind that as long as it spawns an RVA every game. So, people will be on the food stockpiles for a while, and then they'll get the farms into gear. It's a 4v4 format, so we've got RVA, Raphael, Nose and Irish Drunk versus Casual Clone, Fluffy Rabbit, Lucky Ashman and Ronto. Not a lot of distance between people on the wing. And not a lot of distance between people on the wing and people who are pockets. In fact, if not for this long kick-ass carbon, this is probably a shorter distance. So I'm actually surprised that this is quite a long game, considering the distance between players. I think you could get away with a lot of rushing on this map. T1 rushing with the transports, rushing pockets, mounting pockets would be a good shout as well. It would really favour aggression, I think. And with no lure and not a 16 nerf count, tech times will be significantly lower, which would ramp up the aggression and how effective it could be. So I see that RV is playing the long carbon game. Not sure about this ore. I'm not sure about this location over this. Troop center coming down. He's got the memo. He'll be ready to fight over this no man's land device with the mighty Fluffy Rabbit here, who hasn't got the memo yet. Not sure what all his carbon's gone to. He's got one farm. I'm assuming the RVA, because he's gone Troop Center Power Core before getting a couple of extra farms. I think you would need 5 or so, just like Space Mass. Maybe a little bit less because you've got some nerfs. He's going for he's going for the Mountie Rush. That's good. Or at least early Mounties, then maybe into Trooper recruits. You spend that 40 Nova that you've sort of got left over to play with. Here comes the farm now that he's got his military infrastructure down. So he'll be laying on the aggression with that. Is there anyone else up to shenanigans? Oh, you can see that Raphael here has managed to get a Mountie on top of Ronto before he's put out any units. You can absolutely build units to defend though. And this is not being microed, so instead of going for the power core, getting some damage there, it's just wasting away. You can see that RV is actually going for his adjacent pocket rather than his wing. Better element of surprise there, I guess. Might make things a little bit harder for him to defeat his wing in combat, but could really help out his team by slowing down the pocket. This is sort of petered out because he's got troopers and he's got trooper recruit tech, so he can defend that quite easy. There's not really a response for Lucky Ashman against this. It's because he's a pocket and he's obviously not scouted or prepared for it or looked at the distances and thought about it as a concept. I mean, you're halfway there when you've got nerfs on the map. You've got the animal nursery already down the required tech builder. When it starts to get to 3, 4, 5 mounties, that's when it just snowballs, because they'll kill the worker so much quicker that you can't just run them away. You see, he has to pull everything away now. He's probably going to lose one. It doesn't have much carbon around his command centre either to mine, like in range of the turret. So I would say at this point there's a little bit of a failing of his wing. The fact that he's gone up to, what, 5 mounties in T1, and he's done nothing about it. He's not even ahead in farms, which is surprising, considering he started building farms before he started building troop centres and power cores and what have you. I feel like he should be 2-2 already, and he should be basically punishing RVA for his decision to go for the pocket. I mean, everyone else going T2 just before him. I think with Rebels he had quite a bit of a bonus there as well with food, so he should have done a bit better. Not much really going on this side between Raphael and Ronto. Bit of trooper recruit being rushed and dropped in the transport here, but it looks like Raphael's just go for T3. It's quite a cool little base layout there. I like that. That's like carbon into the back of the map, and that looks super wallable as well. I love that. That's a really nice base spawning. Like, look how easy that is to wall the entire thing. No counterattack yet out of Fluffy Rabbit. I don't know what he's waiting for. He's built a turret though. He's built 2 turrets. Not in range of one another. Not in range of his carbon. That's impressive. That's all I can say about that. I imagine he's dropping his recruits now. Yeah, onto the ore. So it looks like he's trying to go into geos. Seems a little bit greedy to be going into geos after doing a rush and then T3. He's got 1 turret down to defend himself. That's fair. These are all still trooper recruits. Did he overbuild Mounties and not have Nova, or... There we go, troopers. Right, so we've got Casual Clone, who's probably the most competent player from what I've previously seen on this team. So they've hit T3, they're going for double air base, so they can absolutely lay on the pressure here, particularly on this side on Raphael, who's, I would say, getting away with murder at the moment. Mountie into T3. And Honor. So he's hit T3. You'll definitely be able to defend this attack. But I'm not sure about him getting a fort, because you might need this ore to slam down some turrets. Because these 2 locations are a little bit far from one another, so you'll definitely need 2 turrets to defend himself. You can see that Fluffy Rabbit's done a bit of a counterattack. It looks like he sniped a couple of good workers here. 4 or so. Definitely get some damage done. There'll be nothing out of RVA because it looks like he's going for T3 as well. You can see that RVA is still running his Mounties around the map, looking for opportunities to get some more value out of them. Get some damage on his opponents here. So much so that he's made it all the way over to the other wing. That's a wonderful little spot there. Still picking off workers, being super annoying and slowing down Raphael's economy there. Here comes the air out of Casual Clone. Looking to do some damage here. Just sort of support this attack, be annoying as possible, make things difficult for Raphael to get into the game. Meanwhile, has he slammed down his own command center yet? No. He's got a nice little wall though. I like this. That's a good wall. Nova as well helping out. I like that. Beautiful. Mech Destroyer, he's just being quite proactive in his own defense. I don't think he needs to send it to his wing. His wing's okay. RVA is absolutely getting hammered here, and I don't understand why. He's just not prepared for this. He's got 3 turrets as well, and he's hemorrhaging workers. Oh, here comes the air as well. He's just like boxed himself into this position. He has hit T3. He can get the air bases down, or can he? Mounties in here rather than anti-air troopers. He has to go and build a turret here, so I think he's probably down about 15 or so workers. Really bad spot to be in. Now, I'd say that Fluffy Rabbit's got a good enough economy just to pump out some anti-air troopers and deal with what kind of attack RVA can sort of launch back the way. He's trying to reinforce his position with the trooper recruits, or the anti-air troopers. Or he was, until he ran it into some turrets. He's got the air here to support him though, but that was also running into an anti-air turret, so... difficult situation for RVA here. He's going to lose his power core at this rate. It's a bad time. Some strike mechs coming out of Raphael, countering his wing. Doesn't look like he's even attempting to go for the pocket here. Not sure what Nose is up to. Not an awful lot. Does have 1 command center down during all these shenanigans. Is he doing some raiding? Do you see any red kicking around the map? You can see he's got 1 fighter and a strike mech. Not a very good pocket, I must say. He's also got 2 turrets. There's a pocket. Very defensive and, to be honest, like, just focused on himself. He's not a great team player, not until late game. Until he's actually boomed, and then he knows how to play the game. I do hate to see this. Like, help your wing, for fuck's sake. Contribute. So, at this point, Casual Clone's sort of taken over the game, at least on this side of the map. I mean, he's influenced RVA as well. I'd say it's unfortunate for these two that, you know, them being the strongest players have both spawned on the wings here, rather than at least one of them being in the pocket where they can safely operate. So they will have to rely on Irish Drunk and, unfortunately, Nose helping them out here and helping them get into the mid game safely. But they're certainly both very good at the game, so hopefully they can pull it off and make this an interesting one. I'd say that Casual Clone's probably overbuilding here at this point. He's running into turrets and stuff. I think in this position you want to just start booming. A couple of command centers down, get a few more, boom your way into this, and then get a forward up and, you know, eliminate one of these players. One of these people that could probably contend you if they get into the game. Not sure what Fluffy Rabbit's up to now. Still in those troopers. He's building the Great Wall of Rabbit in prefab shelters. Just try to stop that spread of the ice. Doesn't want the ice taking over his lands. It's a good wall. I like it. Fortunately, he's paying for it himself. So there's a lot of carbon he spent on that rather than more farms and going T3 and upgrading his units and such. Anyway, we can see that Nose has finally punted out 4 fighters to reinforce these anti-air turrets. Good stuff. Still a lot of harass coming out from Casual Clone here. It looks like he is being targeted by RVA's fighters across here. I must say, it looks like RVA does not consider Rabbit much of a threat, despite him killing a lot of his workers, because it doesn't seem like he really attacks him at all. A lot of his attention is, to be honest, going on this side, and try to help Raphael out here, who's been having a bad time. See that Nose has finally assembled the Gungan Air Force, and he's laying the pressure on now at 30 minutes onto the opposing wing. Very questionable Mountie attack, this. I I'm not sure how much damage that's going to get done with Nose now having air out. I know he's definitely had a lot of strike mechs. He needs to repair that. He's not repairing it. Oh, he's gone for the melee instead. Oh dear. If that ever happens to you, hit the hotkey R and then click on the power core. Because if you try to click the power core with the right click, you'll probably try to melee the units down. So R click. That's the way to do it. And you need to just spam that half the time as well, because the AI is just bad. Bit of a strike mech harass from Lucky Ashman. It seems he's entered the game, laying some pressure on. He did have a little bit of a bad time with his mounties slowing him down, but it looks like he's turtled up enough that he feels now safe to come out of his base and do some attacks. Some more mounties. These must surely the ones that he was keeping in his troop centre. I can't imagine he was making these, although they have been upgraded, so they're not doing a lot. That's why I express my doubt that they've just been built and upgraded. So we've got Casual, who's allegedly going up to T4. Seems about that time in the game. RV is just getting all these troopers for free. This is probably the point in the game where troopers aren't really going to cut it. They've walked from here to here across the map. RV losing a good few fighters here, just out of position to Casual's cool Galactic Empire Force. Galactic Empire Air Force. God, TIE fighters look cool. I like them. But with their combined forces, they've probably got about the same amount. How's the boom getting on here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 command centers. It's looking about right. Should be going T4, I think, yeah. Good amount of farms. What's the tech path, though? It's got to be mech, right? Maybe fast fighters with what you've got. Get a bit of harass. God, these get upgraded to heavy troopers while half of them are dead. You can see Raphael's throwing out some artillery here. It's a good little defensive force, but also helps him pressure on his wing. You definitely want to forward and or at least build units in your base and rally them across here and fight. And try to kill buildings early on, get a push on, because the map's just too... Well, the distance between you is just too small. That the resources are contended. And if you can kill your wing, you get all that ore and Nova extra and all that space as well to operate. Because though it's flatter than space mass, these carbon rocks are actually quite thick. Sort of lace through the map there. Take up a lot of space. So it looks like all the players are going T4. I think they've got this massive, horrible fear that the mighty Galactic Empire Air Force is going to go up to Advanced Fighter. And Fast Fighter and then Advanced Fighter and ruin them. They don't get shields though. So when you do this as a civ that doesn't get shields for air, which makes air so bloomin' broken because it doubles their HP. And I think it even gives them secret armor effects or something. I'm not sure how the shield mechanic works, but they're bloomin' strong. It's all about the element of surprise when you don't get shields. So you just fast fighter, advanced fighter, and then you go blitzkrieg on them and try to kill as many workers as quickly as possible. So he's got quite a lot built up. You can definitely do some damage, and if you micro it as well, you can dodge the turrets a fair bit and get a lot. They're sort of two-shot workers when they're fast fighters. Looks like RVA is the intended target. He's got the strike mechs there to sort of scout things out. But it has unfortunately made him garrison his workers here, which makes it a little bit harder for him to do damage. Try to hunt down the Air Force, which is honestly not a bad counter to this, just having a lot of fighters, just because they don't have the shields. There's still a couple of hits from a fighter to kill them. It's probably just 2 or so. Yeah, I think they over damage. Because they go 25 HP to 35. But I think it's still just 2 shots. Not sure. I've never really tested it. Just sort of I feel that's the way it is. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So Ronto's not really in this game. These scores keep bugging out. Not really in this game. We've got 2, 3 command centers. So he's got 4, but lowest scored player in this game. Definitely been bullied quite a bit and made some mistakes with that mounty attack, which would have been better off with building workers and making more value units than that. Strike mech's coming out of Lucky. It seems that Irish has upgraded his air. Don't think he's really got enough to deal with the fighters though. Fighters are definitely guaranteeing that Casual can kick about in the middle of the map. Same with Lucky here and get forwards down. Rather than having T3 fighters stop your workers building things. So they'll have that going for them. It seems that going for the really harassment orientated approach rather than outright killing a player, which you do need to do damage with, right, to sort of ensure its validity. So there'll need to be a lot of workers getting killed here. The strike mechs can snowball if you get enough of them. You can get enough where you can just sort of destroy the counters, which would be mech destroyers. And if you have enough of them, you can actually kill command centers as well. So they tend to get a lot of stats with all the war center upgrades, a lot of range, damage, and armor, where they can just be an absolute hindrance, and they kill workers very quickly, and they move quite quickly as well. Without research tracking, they'd be quite hard to hit with the mech destroyers. RVA is going to have to rely on, you know, some T3 mech destroyers and some air to take these down. And at the same time, he's getting a push on here from his almost AI opponent, Fluffy Rabbit, who's assembled a beautifully balanced force here, with a couple of rallied pummels, I like it, across the frozen lake, laying on the pressure here. Definitely making it very difficult for him to participate in this game, and there's not a lot of space for him to sort of boom backwards either, because of all the carbon rocks. Here come the fast fighters here, looking for a window of opportunity to do some damage. Meanwhile, Raphael is he's awakened, and that army that we last looked at, that couple of artillery, is really blossomed into a push that's going to probably take Ronto out of the game here and give them a bit more space on this side. And this should be a little bit of a timer for Casual Clone to get a ground force. You can see he's built a forward here, but it's almost getting pinned down. Oh, a lovely use of the Reek as a pummel. They're so bloody cost effective. And it's certainly a building you would already have with the nerfs. A+ for that. So a few mech destroyers have gotten out, and he's got some air to try and slow this down, but it's the forward that we're lacking here. I suppose there's a lack of space, and you're probably feeling that, you know, when you're a player, you try to, you know, manage your economy, and you try to do everything really quickly, to the point that you've got to build your mech destroyer all the way over here inside your base, with the other two over here. But I mean, as GA, you just need to fire out a good 20-30 mech destroyers, upgrade them, and then put a shield on them, and you can hold off, and then you can stabilise and throw what you need into the comp, if it's cannons or, you know, a cheeky air cruiser or what have you. And if you're really rich, lace in the AT-ATs, the AT-ATs. But pretty good attack from these two, from Nose and Raphael, getting some damage done. Nose contributing with some strike mechs there to kill any mounties that Ronto does love. These guys are upgraded and they've got a shield down on them, so that should slow this down a bit. How's RVA getting on? Irish definitely try to keep him alive with this Republic Advanced Air Fighters. Another AI attack from Fluffy. What am I watching? Just play the game properly. Come on. Genuinely might not be a person. Might be some sort of AI that plays the game. Oh, the nerf heist. I like it. It's a cheeky bit of extra economy there with the T4 upgrades. So as I said, this is slowing down a bit, but they are getting more space where they can throw down forward buildings, reinforce quicker. Definitely want all the advantages you can get in a ground war with Galactic Empire, just because of how many upgrades they get from mech destroyers, how strong they are. Look at that, 281 HP versus 175. So this is very annoying for Arvian, I must say. I must not be enjoying this. These advanced fighters will trade a little bit with it, but it's not really worth it in such a small amount. I can see Ronto's trying to mine as much of this Nova as he can before he's dead. He's got a little base up here, but it looks like Nose has found it with his fighters. If Nose could fire out some artillery or mech destroyers, I think they'd have a really good chance of overwhelming this position. But at the moment it's just strike mechs, which they're not really facing anything that's strike mech killable. I'm not seeing any grenadiers, troopers, fort units that count as troopers. So these AT-ATs are, other than the artillery, there's not much they can do with them. And look, a tire volley takes it to half, and you've got 4 of them. So, what, you kill one and then you lose all your artillery. Like, you do need better forces here on the ground, and I don't know if like normal assault mechs are good enough with how many mech destroyers your opponent has as well. It has to be, get a lot of artillery. Get some cannons, get an air cruiser, sort of hold things off and stabilise and get a decent enough army to deal with this. And it really is on Nose to get the right units out here, not strike mechs. Lucky Ashman is doing some walling. And some cannons. Cannons and walls. Good build. I like it. Not really much coming out of him, but a bit of sleep here. I know he had a rubbish early game, but you could definitely be firing out some troopers here, or some cost-effective mech destroyers, or even, you know, his best artillery in the game, that 12 range, would be a good shout. He's got all this area on the map as well. He could get forward, down, and contribute. Or he could even help on this side. I don't really think he needs to do much on this side, because Irish Drunk doesn't really have an army. He's just got an air force. It's really, like, the game is really being fought on this side now, at this point. This is what's going to decide things. Definitely a lot of AT-ATs out here. Some Grenadiers coming in, which is good. But it's just a sort of a war of attrition. We'll run out of Nova eventually, though, because I don't think there's a big trade going on. No. So normally when you start throwing out this much AT-ATs, you want to start trading with the spaceports. Send out the cargo hovercrafts on their little missions to bring you Nova. Or you want to do as much damage as possible and win the game there and then. So once all the Nova runs out, it'll just be mech destroyers again. So it needs to take down the shields so that the mech destroyers can push in adequately. Bronlin's at least putting down shields for Casual Clone here, which is good. A lot of idle cargoes there. Oh. Anti-airmobiles, walls, bounty hunters, and troopers. Some mounties coming out, but it looks like a sort of last feeble attempt at desperation. A lot of assault mechs here, a lot of mech destroyers. Just needs to push up, take the shields down, and just really kill all of this while he can't defend it. You can see he's building a new forward at the back. I suppose not forward, but building more production here to get more units out. Nose is not doing too well. He's now got Jedis running around. He's got strikes running around causing damage. RVA does have a lot of Jedi out though. And there's nothing on the ground to stop the Jedi here. So that's a little bit of a misconsideration, or missed out from Casual here, especially if all of this gets converted. Because that's all the Nova that you've put in there. You're not trading, so this investment was really important to protect. Pretty sure sort of mis-microed those. They all went on to cooldown there, and they converted about 4 things. If you don't know, when you use Jedi, if you click them all and you convert one unit, it'll use all of their faith at the same time, if you do them individually, you can convert multiple different units. So always do them one at a time. I think what I used to do was I'd click them all on one unit and then click that guy out of the group and repeat onto a new unit each time before they finished the first one. That way I could do it quite quickly, while still being able to move them around, rather than click them each like that. So now that they've taken out the AT-ATs, they can get a nice little arc here with the mech destroyers and push back a bit. Like I do think that probably Casual Clone's probably got the best economy in this game, but I mean I've been in this situation myself. It's like a lack of space where you can just throw down production and fire out units. It's really difficult and annoying. And to be honest, the solution might be like just throwing mech destroyers and all mech factories in all these little spots, but it's just painful. See a bit of trade coming out of these players, but I don't think he's gotten involved yet. Reinforcing this position a little bit, but RVA's base is still alive and looks like he's building a lot of Crusaders here. Love that unit. I love Naboo. Naboo are my favourite civ, I think. They're probably one of the most well-balanced civs. So there's sort of trade in here, but there's a lot more mech destroyers from Raphael. No, they've got worse stats, there's just a lot more of them. This Jedi's been imprisoned by Irish Drunk's mech destroyers. It's been getting pinged for about 5 minutes. Nose has assembled a small army that's just sitting there in the reserves. National Guard. They're not wanting to get involved in the front lines. It's pushing up now. This would be the time to push up, considering they've taken down what army Casual Clone had. They can lay on the pressure now. That shield will go down really quickly. It's got no shield health, so the big Gungan mechs can take it down. These are still troopers. Just an update. Yeah, it's not looking good for Casual here, and I don't doubt we've got the economy to reinforce an army here. But, I mean, it is basically 1v3. Like, there's really not a lot coming out of these players. I mean, it's 1v3, but it's also... It was winnable. To an extent. Here come the cheeky berserkers. It's a good thing Nose was prepared for them, all those strike mechs he had. There's really not much. You can't rally units into this. You need to regroup. And then you need to sack all of this. All of this needs to be sacked. You need to regroup, and then you need to take this on as a large force, via large force. Rallying units, you're just hemorrhaging economy into it. It's what you want for these civs to fight Galactic Empire in small doses like this, where the upgrades don't mean anything. But in large scale fights, the upgrades absolutely mean something. And AT-ATs being rallied into this to just get converted. Need a lot of mech destroyers, a good group of bounties, and some cannons. And push that way. Some bombers coming out of Irish. This is like they've all rallied together after a few of them just ignoring one another for so long. And gotten together to take down the only player that's probably fighting them at this point from this team. Although, here he comes, the AI player, bringing in those repeater troopers. It's like the last samurai charge right there. So valiant. May they be remembered. Here come the Crusaders out of RVA. Going to take down this forward base. And just got some mech destroyers reinforcing that position. It's almost like this area from RVA's base just became a sort of demilitarized zone. And he just boomed backwards and sacked it. They never outright went to kill him. This is a dicey sort of angle is going in here. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Because this is just a killing zone. We don't walk into that. Air cruiser, cannons here in this position, on this angle, do a lot of damage, so take this forward down very quickly and allow you to push forward. And you could also throw in a few mech destroyers here into the economy as well, which would be nice. Forward coming down from nose here, Jedi still kicking about. This one, he's had enough, he's going to hide in that mech destroyer. He's chilling. The rest of them though, getting some converting on the go. Certainly got a feel for casual here. Played a very good game. Did a lot of damage. Probably could have won it all. But only human, and to be honest, very stacked against them there. I think with a bit more space and a bigger forward, they could have just steamrolled. Like none of this would have happened. Raphael would have been dead before Nose contributed. And then it would just be a 2v1. Which, to be honest, with two of them dead, the team might contribute then and help them out. So bounties now, helping out. It's not a good arc to defend with no one capitalising on this bit. But it is just too many units. As well as these trade. You start to, when you take on so many, you start to need more space and a bigger arc for firing, and you can see how they're all stacking up in position here. It's not good. This rock's a problem, the carbon's a problem. You need a shield covering this, but then this arc's wider. You eventually just start hemorrhaging, and here comes like area of effect damage into this spot as well. It's just going to start to drain, and you can see a lot of them going down now. Because the firing arc's just so much wider. Oh, another attack from our lovely artificial intelligence. Where will he go? Back the way he came. Right. RVA has assembled the unit that will absolutely smash this. Much better than a Mountie. They take absolutely fuck all damage from mech destroyers and will cause a great amount of panic and disarray here, to the point that this can just push up and take down the shields. That is a nice little spot for one-shotting them though. So I think the Mounties might do damage, good damage against them, I'm not sure. It's a decent wee bit to take the shields down. But Nose has got these assault mechs coming in as well. Sort of all going to be decided here, I think. Jedi just being annoying. Bit of strike mechs getting thrown into the economy. Last ditch attempt to slow things down here. Some strikes coming in here as well, but there's just nothing that can deal with the artillery, the assault mechs. There's not really any trade coming out, so you won't have Nova to get assault mechs. Yeah. And there's definitely too much of these now that you can just go mech destroyer. I think it's probably GG there. I wonder what happened to that attack from Rabbit. I imagine it died. Yep. A lot of workers going down, actually. Oh, that's not really workers. I think that's the corpses of that last-ditch attack from him. Oh, he's launching another one. It's fine. Don't worry. He's recovered. Not a lot on the field now for Ronto and Casual Clone. Got a few production buildings over here. I don't think there's really enough though. You can see that Irish is getting involved in the ground game, which are causing problems here. I honestly feel like this is what happens if you learn to play the game purely by watching the AI play and never play another human player in your life. Absolutely majestic and pure. Anyway, aircruiser coming out helps pushes this. A lot of mounties, surprise mounties, but there's nothing behind them, so it's really just a waste. These aren't really pushing up. Although, why have all these assault mechs just run into their death here? That's a bit of a miss micro. Like running out of shields into units and shields. Some A-wings coming out from Fluffy Rat. That's probably the most useful thing I've seen. Some mech destroyers coming out here as well. The air cruiser is a bit of a problem though, but he's not. There we go, shoot it. Yes! You have helped. Jedi hanging back. It's just a little bit poor from them not reinforcing this position. So maybe this can keep going. Definitely a healthy amount of mech factories now. And I absolutely reckon they've got the economy for it, right? Yeah, they're still doing alright. Where are we? Where was I? There we go. They can still afford 20 odd more, so... They just don't want to be losing these workers, though. How much carbon is there left for them to mine? That's the bigger issue. I suppose they can sort of mine into this area if they protect it, but... I know Irish might get involved. Don't know, he's a bit like a wild animal, like... He'll only really attack you if you sort of cross his path and attack him. Otherwise, he's just sort of kicking about his own world. Some artillery being converted here. Certainly play on the pressure. You can see that Lucky's finally getting a good force here involved and looking to contribute. I think with these two arcs, they could definitely take this position out. Because, as we've said before, the Galactic Empire upgrades absolutely mean something in these fights when they're in bulk. This is the time you want to go for them. You need to move these up now, right? You move them forward because they're not going to take shots and then you can just one-tap all the units. They're not being moved, so... I'd say it's a waste, but they are actually getting damaging. But just move them up. Take the forward down. Assert dominance and take this position. And then you've got two armies going for this. Oh! RVA coming in though and taking Lucky out of this equation. Now we're moving up. It's just a bit late. The worry now is when you move up now that the Crusaders come on you and you don't have a shield. And the air cruiser as well coming out. Doesn't have anything to stop that. Some Mounties, you need to move these. You move these to the... You sort of split the arc when you get the Mounties involved. The fighters will really help. I think RVA would be fine if he had mechs behind him, but he really doesn't. More strike mechs coming out of nose. RV is starting to get demoralised by saying, how have we not won yet? I know. Surprising. I'd say it's a lot of apathy and incompetence, to be honest. No, good fight. This has just been halved. The numbers have been halved. They need to regroup. They need to accept that this is gone, that they've lost this position. Regroup and take them on again as a large force via large force. There really is too much hemorrhaging units into units in this game. They'll definitely have the better trade economy as well, I think. They've probably got the better half of the map as well. Lucky, what are you up to? Or Fluffy? There's just so many units just kicking about. Some strike mechs, getting some damage in here, being annoying. I feel like this game's going to break before I even know who's actually won it. And although on paper, RVA and Raphael should absolutely be winning this, it's just not going that way. They look emotionally drained from what they're saying and what they've endured. You've got to really give it up to Casual Clone for this tenacity. Yeah, dead. There's so much carbon to mine. You've got so many resources to mine on this side. Some bombers coming in. Going for the troops, I like it. No mercy. This army has been sitting here for about 30 minutes. Don't know what its purpose is, but it could have done a lot more damage over here. Raphael's given up. Like, it's the mental game. This came down to mentality in the end. RVA is just having a bit of a think. Why has this happened? Well, I've got to give mad respect here to Casual Clone for staying in the game, being tenacious, rebuilding, and pretty much just playing to win. Did really well, putting pressure, took advantage of those two being on the wings. Managed to help the team as much as possible. Some A-wings coming in. I would say with more involvement from the other players on each team, I think this top team should have probably steamrolled it. So, probably a big throw from that team, really. Don't know what point the rest of the team get the memo that Raphael's abandoned them. What's Fluffy up to? Oh, this army moved. It took Raphael leaving the game for this army to do anything, and it's gone for the MVP of this team, Fluffy Rabbit. See, Casual knows that Fluffy Rabbit's the MVP. And that's why this army got here really promptly. Not allow the best player, the most valuable player, to be even damaged out of this team. But yeah, it is just about killing what forces are left, so they get the memo when they quit. Because without Raphael, they're not gonna win. There's now troop attack out of Lucky. There's a lot of strike mechs out. You couldn't even win with just like Crusaders and Jedi. It's over. They're still throwing units about, but that's pretty much GG. Quite enjoyed this one. Definitely showcased some interesting elements. It's quite rare for a game to go this long and not break as well. Can appreciate that. I do love watching Galactic Empire units crush everything. There's a lot of chatter going on. Upset chatter about the early quick, but as I said, it just became a mental game, and that's, to be fair, a lot of what the late game can be. That's why I use words like tenacious. Like, to have tenacity to just sort of suck things up, like suck up the damage that you've taken and just rebuild your economy. Because it's when people don't know how to do that or can't handle doing that that makes the harassment elements in the game so much more effective and dangerous. But if you do know how to do that, then they're not as effective. And if you can take that damage, rebuild, and then hit them back with units that actually, you know, like remove buildings and, you know, give you progress up the map, you know, sometimes it's worth it. I don't know what point they accept that this is over, but I'm going to be honest, I'm calling it. It's over. One of their most important players left, they lost this position. These two are in their own world, not a great element of team play out of them. And Fluffy Rabbit is just running rampant now. There's no one here who can stop him. So, I'll call it there. That was definitely a great game to watch. I know it was a little bit stacked, but oddly enough, the worser team definitely dominated things here and absolutely took control of the game. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this and, you know, learned a little bit. If there's anything that you would like to see from the channel, definitely leave a comment. Remember to subscribe and like the video. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.